Hi, welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 7. How do I solve systems of equations? In particular, I will be able to solve a linear and quadratic system of equations algebraically. Do you remember? So take a minute, pause the video, and write this down, all right? All right, I hope you paused the video and wrote this down because we're moving on. All right, here's the think about it question. That just doesn't mean think about it. It means write it down and answer every single one of these questions, all right? So I want you to pause the video and write this down and answer these solutions. You should know the answers to each one of these questions, all right? This is Algebra 1, and you're in Algebra 2. So this is stuff you're expected to know, all right? So I hope you paused it and wrote this down and answered all the questions. I expect to see this in your notes. If this is not in your notes, you will be getting a jug. All right, answers and all. All right, so how, in particular today, we want to work on solving quadratic and linear systems of equations, right? And do you remember how to solve these systems of equations? You have two options, all right? You learned, you can actually have, there are three different ways, right? There's graphically, there's by substitution, and by elimination. All right, those are the three ways that we can solve. Hopefully you remember all three of those. I'm going to show you two of them right now. And you know what? If you remember, why don't you take a try at this and see what you can do, all right? Solve for the variables. Solve for x and for y, okay? All right. So the first way we're going to solve this is by substitution. So I'm going to substitute in 2x plus 6 in for y into the top equation, all right? So I have 2x plus 6 equals x squared plus 4x, plus 3, okay? Now I want to put everything on the same side. So I'm going to move the 2x to the other side and the 6 to the other side, and we do that by using the inverse operations, which is subtraction. So I subtract 2x, and I subtract 6, and we're left with 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. Once you get this far, you have a couple options for solving. You can either solve by graphing, which I don't recommend, solve by factoring, or solve by using the quadratic formula, okay? I think many people have forgotten how to factor, so I'm going to use the quadratic formula. You should all remember it. So what I'm doing now is I'm plugging the values into the quadratic formula. I'm not writing the quadratic formula down because you should know it already. All right? And I want you, we'll just keep going. So that's going to be a negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, that's 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3 all over 2 times 1. So that's a negative, so this is x equals that, right? So x equals a negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, let's see, that's going to be 4 plus what? That's right, 4 plus 12. And 4 plus 12 is 16 all over 2. So x equals a negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 16 is 4 all over 2. So now I have my two separate cases. I have a negative 2 plus 4 over 2, which is 2 over 2, which equals 1. And I have a negative 2 minus 4 over 2, which equals a negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. So I end up with two solutions for x. So I have two solutions for x. I have x is equal to, x equals -3 and 1. Am I done here, guys? Absolutely not. I'm not done. I have to solve for y. Which equation do you think is easiest to plug into to solve for y? If you said the second one, y equals 2x plus 6, you're absolutely correct. So now you take each one of your x values and you plug them in and you solve for y. So I have y equals 2 times 1 plus 6, which equals 8. And I have y equals 2 times -3 plus 6, which equals 0. So my solution then is 2 points of intersection, and those 2 points of intersection are 1, 8 and -3, 0. And we write it in set brackets because it's a solution set. All right? That's how we solve by substitution. Let me show you another way real quick, okay? I hope you wrote this all down because I'm about to erase it and we're going to start over. But this time we're going to use elimination. Okay? Here it goes. All right, so I hope you got all that down. Now we're going to use elimination. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the bottom equation from the top. And when I do that, the y's are going to cancel, right? So if I subtract this one, the bottom one from the top one, I get 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. Guess what? We're back where we started again, right? And now it's the same steps as before. So it's a little bit quicker if you do it this way. You can do it either way you want. I don't have a preference, okay? So substitution is the way to go after you solve for your variable, okay? So now it's just the same. You're going to use the quadratic formula or factor and solve it, all right? So I'm not going to fill out all the work because it's the same work as before at this point, all right? But you can skip the beginning by doing elimination instead, all right? Now I'd like you guys to try this equation. I'd like you to try to solve this system, all right? Try it on your own and see what you get. Pause the video. Did you pause it, or are you just watching, waiting for me to do it? Silence is golden. All right, I hope you all got this equation. Once you did your substitution, you should have all gotten 0 equals x squared minus 3x plus 4. And now you need to plug it into the quadratic formula, right? So when you plug it into the quadratic formula, what do you get? Okay, pause it now and tell me what you get. All right, so after I plug into the quadratic formula, I end up with x equals plus or minus I root 7 over 2. What on earth does that mean? I got a complex solution. So, what does that mean with regards to my system of equations? Do I have an answer? Do I have any points of intersection? Right? I want you to answer this question. Do these graphs of the two equations intersect? Now, if you can visualize what this looks like in your head, then you know the answer. And I want to see the answer in your notes, okay? Because that's the answer to the rest of this problem, okay? So that's it. there. And here are your problems to practice on your own. Okay, you should be able to do all of these now. Every single one of them. All right, I want to see work for all of them. I want to see the problems written down. And the writing question, I want you to do that. I want to see the problem written down, and I want to see your answer. Okay, you should have an answer for every single one of these when you show up. All right? Thank you guys, and have a good night, and I will see you later.